is Japan.
My name is Joanna. I'm from Colombia. They did my laugh line and my cheeks.
Temporarily reverse signs of aging by adding volume for lift in the cheeks.
Alright, so hi, I'm Dayan Gurola. I host shows here at the Pink Palace that the kids started calling it now, and I also do tooth gems as Thunder Glitz Gems. Well, I started doing tooth gems in 2020. I got fired from my job. It was totally my fault. And I was just like, everyone was getting unemployment, so I was like balling at the time. And I was like, I'm going to invest into something. And I saw that, like, I had a friend who wanted to do tooth gems also, and she said we could go halvesies on it and get a trainer. So we did that, and I officially started in 2020, but it was like really slow at first just because of the whole pandemic and everything. So it was like hard to get appointments. But around 2021, 2022 is when I started doing pop-ups and like going to events. And and that led me here. Hosting events, pretty much. Well, it all started with Joplin, actually. Her foot, her leg, what was wrong with her leg again?
She has a tumor.
Oh, she had a tumor.
Joplin?
The dog. My cousin's dog. So, my cousin's dog has had a tumor in her leg, and we really needed to, like, raise money fast, and, the GoFundMe wasn't fast enough. So, the last resort, really, we were like, the more for sure thing is a show. Honestly, first show in Pedro in a while, house show in Pedro in a long time. I mean, I grew up in Pedro, born and raised in Pedro, and honestly, we've been in the punk scene forever, and it was very rare to go to shows. And if there were shows, the place didn't really last. It was like very rare shows in Pedro, so it was a benefit show, the first show we ever had. My little cousin, she was like in high school at the time. She knew all the bands and whatnot. So, and I was like, and I have the space. So we literally just had a family meeting. And we're like, yeah, let's have a show. And in like one day, they planned it. Honestly, I just gave the space. And they planned everything else. And it came together in like one day. And like the next weekend or so, I think we had the show, and that shit popped off. And and it was the consecutive bands that are always playing here are Sedated. They're the ones that coined the Pink Palace.
They're a household band.
Yeah. They started calling it the Pink Palace. And it suits it so well. Yeah. Bunch of sweethearts. Aw. Shout out Sedated. My older sister, she's like my biggest inspiration. Her music taste, everything, fashion, everything. She was like my biggest inspiration. I'm surrounded by a bunch of women, and all the women in my family, all my homegirls, they're all huge inspirations, but mainly my sister. She was the one that kind of introduced us into everything, she subscribed to Rolling Stone magazine. We would, do you remember when you would have to, like, you would get the little cards and then you'd, like, order CDs? That's how, like, we discovered all this music. Yeah, it was my sister, hands down. She was the one that introduced me to so much. And then from there, it just grew, the older I got, just, my music taste just stemmed out to, like, hardcore. Everything, really, honestly, And I'm Mexican, too, so, like, we're first generation. We grew up listening to rancheras, shit like that, and, it really was us that discovered, or my older sister that discovered, that whole scene and introduced us to it, so we grew up in it. That's pretty much it. I remember my first concert. My first big concert was Black Sabbath at the Hollywood Bowl. That was my first big concert. And yeah, fucking Black Sabbath is my favorite band, honestly. Grew up with that shit. But first show, honestly, I can't remember. I remember going to the observatory a lot in Santa Ana. But I've been to so many shows, bro. Like, I can't. It's a blur. The past 10 years have been a blur. I guess just that I'm in the comfort of my own home. That's a big thing. I don't gotta look for fucking parking. And just, you know, the sense of community, knowing that most of the people that are here are from Pedro, and it's definitely a new generation. I didn't have many backyard shows when I was a teenager, so, and just knowing that, like, we're all here for the music. We're all here to support local bands in, you know, locally. So it's a great fucking feeling to support local bands and then to know that people are having a good time. And it's really weird for me to, like, get compliments. So when people are like, oh my God, thank you so much for, you know, hosting the show, or, you know, giving me compliments for having shows, I'm like, oh, really? like it's no problem. But I mean, we haven't had that many shows here, really. It's since in November of 2022 is when we had the first show. So it's only been about a year. I mean, social media is inevitable at this point. I don't really think it makes a difference when you're really just focused on the music and you're focused on throwing the show and supporting people, you know? Because I ain't got no fucking clout. I didn't, you know, I don't have like thousands of followers or nothing like that. Like, it's really just, and then when I recently, because I've been having shows, I've been getting more followers, but I don't give a shit about that. Like, I reached out to bands. I reached out to so many bands when I decided to have my own show in like August. And I reached out to so many bands, and then a few bands, Deviated actually was the one that hit me up and said if they could have their release show here. And I was like, yeah, yes, of course. So, like, I don't really think that social media is a bad thing. You can tell when people are, you know, using it for fucking clout and shit, but you can tell who's fucking real and who's not. And honestly, they'll get over it. Let them have their 15 seconds of fame. Honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing. Social media is fucking inevitable. Just let them have it. You know, let there be a bunch of photographers, you know, like, let them enjoy the moment. Who fucking cares? We're here for the music, period.
Right on.
Fuck social media. Recently, for sure, I've been on to Whisper. They're a hardcore band from Thailand. They're fucking hard. What else can I just name off the top of my head? Scalp is hard. Dead Heat. Chef's Kiss. What else? Oh shit. I mean, besides all the bands that play here, Pray for Death is pretty sick. The first show that I had, they were here and they were fucking sick. And it's cool. That's why I love having shows, because I'm like, I discovered them. You know, like, I heard them for the first time, and now I'm like, yeah, and I hope other people feel that way too. Like, you know, you're discovering bands when you go to shows. The Abductors, hard. They're cool. Underrated band. All the local bands. Support all your fucking local bands, because they're putting in the fucking work to put shows on for you. Even if you're just there to fucking party, you still had a good fucking time because of them. And I'm not a musician, and my shows are popping off because the bands that are coming through. So definitely Sedated Sensation. They just came out with their album, and that shit is pretty good. And you know that it's so organic. Everybody's work. So Deviated, fucking hard. Some pussy poppin' music. I'm just sorry, going on the top of my head. But yeah, Pray for Death is pretty sick. Fried Smooth, they're so cool. They're all so cool. I'm just gonna name all the bands that have played here before, but just support all your local fucking bands. The Shop Boys too, they're cool. They're from Wilmington, you know. And that's what I like. It's not only Pedro bands, it's like surrounding cities, and that's important. They're all supporting each other. It's still local because we're still the South Bay. Honestly, I really don't have any plans. Like, it's whenever I get an idea, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then I just start asking a bunch of people and see who's down. But for the most part, just keep doing what I'm doing, you know, just inviting people to have shows here. And I'm really trying to do like more free shows, you know, like I don't like going to house shows when it's like $15-$20. You know, I mean, I understand. I understand the hustle. I fucking get it. Go for it. But I definitely feel like there should be more free shows. You know, backyard shows should be free because it's about the fucking music at the end of the day. We're all here to see a cool band, and the bands, we're not really getting that much from them anyway, you know, from charging at the door. So, also more vendor markets. I love that there's a lot more vendors nowadays. I feel like since the pandemic, a lot of people picked up hobbies. You know, I started doing tooth gems, and that's why I've been going to so many more events. And I've been meeting so many people too. So I've been meeting a lot of cool vendors, and I see that they're out there, they're doing events like every weekend, and yeah, I'd want to do that. Like, I like bringing people to me, you know, like I love going out and doing pop-ups and whatnot, but I like bringing people to me also and giving them an opportunity. You know, sometimes I go to a show and I see vendors and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go introduce myself to everybody. I'm going to go do my rounds. And then I tell them, I'm like, oh, if I have something coming up, I'm like, yeah, you should come to my house. I stay in Pedro because Pedro's kind of far for a lot of people just because we're all the way over here. And I feel like most shit is popping off in LA, you know, or like, yeah, Long Beach is like, in the South Bay, it's a lot of bars that are hosting events, you know, not really house shows and whatnot. But it's cool because with vending, I feel like now there's a lot more events popping up for everybody, which is really cool. I've met a lot of like people who are like promoters or, you know, are putting shows together. And that's their goal too. They're like, we want to have like more all ages stuff, free shit, and vendors. Like they'll just invite me and they're like, oh, and they charge. Most events charge you to be at an event. So and since there's so many nowadays, it's like a hit or miss. You know, if I'm gonna make my money back, blah blah blah. But if it's a show, it's not guaranteed. But, you know, there's going to be traffic. So that's why I'm like, I'm not going to charge you. I don't really like charging people to be at an event to sell their shit. I'm just like, just come through, set up, and for sure there's going to be traffic. And let's hope that you do well that night. You know, but that's really my only plan for the future is just to keep that going and give more people opportunities. Because it gives me opportunities. I meet a lot of people that, you know, offer me to do events and stuff like that. So that's cool. Punk is community. Definitely, it's music that is, I mean, it's obviously way more popular now with social media, but I mean, everyone that gets into punk is because they're all a little different, alternative, you know, you're not into really the mainstream. But it's community, it's respecting music, it's creativity. It's passion, because, you know, passion fuels creativity. So, it's people's passions that they're putting out there for you to enjoy. I mean, punk is not a label. You can't... I felt like I've never really called myself a punk or anything like that. You know, I'm just like, yeah, I listen to punk music. I listen to hardcore. Shit, I listen to cumbias. I used to listen to rancheras. You know, I like to shake my ass. So, like, punk is not... really, I don't know, I don't like putting a label on it, but yeah, punk is community for sure. It's people coming together because we all like one thing, and it's music. Shout out to all the old heads, you know, all the bands that came before. No, but Last Line of Defense, you know, when we were growing up, they were fucking popping off in Pedro. You know, so it gave us a sense of pride because we're from here. Destroy LA, you know, they were popping off too. And yeah, it just gave us a sense of pride to be from Pedro, you know, and to be from LA in general. There's so much culture here, and just be creative. Like, let yourself be creative, and don't be scared of what anybody has to say or what anybody thinks, you know. Don't let shit get to you. Shit happens for a reason, and everything happens when it's supposed to happen. Keep doing you. And, you know, when shit gets tough, like, reach out to people. And you're not going to get anything done without reaching out to people. Sometimes you just kind of have to get over it, swallow your pride or your anxiety, because I know how it can be. You know, doing this shit it's nerve-wracking. I mean, I'm sure being in a band is also nerve-wracking, but if you're not doing it, no one else is, and just get it done. It doesn't matter what happens in the future. You'll figure it out then. Everything always works out the way it's supposed to work out, when it's supposed to work out. And if you have a passion, you know, keep pushing at your passion. Eventually it will happen when it happens. And don't stop doing what you're doing, because nothing happens right away. And if it does happen right away, then you are fucking blessed. So count your fucking blessings, you know? And appreciate everyone around you. You know, it makes you who you are. And that's all that really matters, is being true to who you are. Down, about to cry. That shit was real. Shout out to everybody from fucking Pedro that is keeping the scene alive, for sure. Shout out to all the bands who are putting on shows and who are enthusiastic about what they're doing, and that are not just about the clout. Even if you're just about the clout, that's fine too. You do you. It's okay. But yeah, shout out to all the bands who are always here. Fucking Sedated Sensation. They're always putting shit on. And, you know, they started naming this place the Pink Palace, which is so cute. And I love it. They're all a bunch of sweethearts. Shout out to Deviated State. They're fucking hard. And all their shows are always fun. And shout out, yeah, to all the other bands that are here all the time. Fucking Fried Smooth, the Shop Boys. Dimebag has played here once before, but they, you know, they're from Pedro. They're always repping the South Bay, so shout out to them. Shout out to Piss, you know, R.I.P. But shit, they're always repping the South Bay. They're always repping Pedro, you know. Like, you gotta be proud of this place, you know. We're born and raised here, so it feels good to know that these bands are making it and are out there. Well, thank you for listening to me yap about myself and, you know, everything that I love about Pedro. And follow Thunder Glitz Gems, get tooth gems from me, support my hustle. I support all the hustlers out there. If you ever want to vend, hit me up. If you ever want to have a show here, hit me up. And, you know, stay safe. Take care of each other. And don't be stupid. And be nice. Kindness takes a lot of effort. So just fucking do it. Live from the Pink Palace. Cheers.
Important safety information and to find a licensed specialist, visit juvederm.com.